Hey there, it's Kelly, the Kilted Therapist. Thanks for joining me. So I'm just going to do a quick blurb here. Something that crossed my mind today while I was talking to somebody. One of the things that I use as a vehicle to try to demonstrate action towards change is whitewater rafting. Now, in a minute, you're going to see somewhere in here whitewater rafting. A good boat captain is going to tell you you're going to drown at least 3, maybe 4 times before they get you back in the boat, because whitewater rafting, if you're on a class 3 or above, there's every likelihood that you're going to end up in the water. So you need to know how to survive once you get thrown into the water. A better boat captain will tell you the following. First thing that you have to know when you get into the boat is that when you go into the water, notice I said when, not if, because the boat is a lot like life. There are going to be times when we're just going to get pitched into something that is really turbulent, unknown, and somewhat treacherous, at least emotionally. When you get thrown into the water, first thing that you need to do is recognize that's the first place that you could drown. Depending on where you go into the water can be roiling, can be slammed against a rock, any number of things can happen. Hopefully, that boat captain has told you, tilt your head back, let the life jacket pull you back up to the surface and point your toes down river. That's the first step to rescue. Second thing, there's another obstacle. This is the second place where you could drown. As you're going down the stream, you're likely to run into scree, which means down tree limbs, debris coming from upriver, taking it all the way down the river. So what happens is there's also something called a hydraulic, or as rafters like to call it, this is a washing machine. And if you're old like I am, you remember the old style washing machine that was in a drum, you put the stuff in and it would go around. They were pretty dangerous too. Well, the reason that that's dangerous is because when you get caught into that, it pulls you down, even in spite of the life jacket. Well, here's the thing, you're spinning around. And if you just lean back and try to kick your toes down, you may not get caught and popped out of that hydraulic. So you need to do something that you wouldn't think of. Stick an arm or a leg out at an odd angle to your body, because you're like a stick when you first go in if you go in straight. So once you stick an arm or a leg out at an odd angle, you catch the outside of that vortex, which then pulls you out. Now you go back into leaning your head back, pointing your feet down river. Make sense? Of course. So now here's the third place where you drown. If you are in a slow enough part of the stream that you can swim over to shore, that's safety. Not going to drown that way. But if you're continuing down some rapids, the people in your boat are trying to paddle to catch up to you. Hopefully they're working together and they're moving quickly. This is the fourth place where you can drown. Because as they're coming up, this is the third place where you can drown. As they're coming up to you, the person that is going to pull you into the boat has to push you down by the life jacket, to use the buoyancy of the life jacket to get you into and over the gunnels. Okay? The gunnels are the edge of the boat. But it takes forcing you back underwater to pull you back in. That means you got to go through the hard stuff before you get to the good stuff. And the good stuff is the other place where you can drown. The fourth way that a boat going down the river can cause you to drown is if the boat turns over and you still got rapids to meet. There's a way to right the boat. And this is where the master captain is going to tell you this is how we right the boat. They're going to tell you, depending on the style of boat, how to right that boat and then how to use the water to get yourself back into the boat. Now, by and large, the boat going completely over is a lot more rare than you popping off the side of the boat and going into the water. So it's important to know, though, that all the way, there are opportunities for you to drown. That's a lot like life. We can be going along, doing our thing, and then all of a sudden we realize things are not going so good. And the more that I'm focused on trying to swim against the current, the more that I am trying to do the right thing, to make the right decisions, deal with all of this negative emotion and garbage and chaos and drama, I just seem to be having a harder and harder time avoiding going into a hydraulic or getting sucked into a bunch of rapids that are trying to drown me. We can choose to be the rock underneath and let the emotions go over us. Just acknowledge the emotions as they pass by. They do hit us, but that doesn't mean that they have to sweep us downriver. We can also choose to lean back, trust the life jacket, point our toes downriver until we can get to a place where we can either swim or the raft can catch us. In which case then we do drown one more time before they pull us up into the boat. But by that point, we've learned to trust the jacket, and hopefully the people in the boat understand their role as well. Now this is where the metaphor takes a different turn, because having been a whitewater rafter, having done face boarding in heavy rapids, and then having boogie boarded, I'm going to tell you something. There's a key to this. There's a little bit of work that we have to do in order to be able to navigate once we're in the water and we're struggling. That little bit of work means instead of rushing to do the first thing that comes to mind, which would be fighting the water, we have to slow down and breathe. I know that sounds bad, you're going to suck in the water. But what I'm really saying is you have to slow down and recognize where am I at, get oriented, get acclimated, and then do what needs to be done. Your every instinct is going to be to struggle against those rapids. But I'm telling you, if you can just slow yourself down enough to say, let the jacket pop me up, I can get some air, and then I can start to make better decisions. Because all too often we get accustomed to just responding. And in truth, it's not a response, it's a reaction. Because we're doing whatever we have to in that moment to survive. Then we're trying to figure out what comes next. And that next right step is slow down. Slow down, get your bearings, orient to where you are, make a bad plan. Yes, I did say make a bad plan. Because a bad plan is better than no plan and just hoping that it goes away or hoping that it somehow works itself out or somehow gets better. Now, sometimes that does work out for us, but not nearly as much as even making a bad plan. Now, I'm not suggesting that you go out and make a self-sabotaging plan. What I'm suggesting is that we make a plan that we're going to find a way to get back into the boat so we can continue our journey down the river, or we're going to find a way to get to shore, get to safety. So this is where I'm going to bring in one more metaphor before I'm done. Should take me a minute. When I was a harbor master, I taught all of my staff how to throw a line or even a life ring. Why is that important? It's important to recognize that you're not doing this alone. Somebody is coming along and trying to help. The thing is, not everybody understands how to throw the lifeline and how to hit you with the ring so that the ring doesn't knock you out or do more damage or miss you completely. It's a skill, but it's a skill that's easily learned, and it really just requires a little bit of practice. So when you see that somebody is struggling, instead of coming up and trying to solve the problem for them and tell them, hey, this is how you need to do this, maybe just come alongside them, hold that space, and say, how can I be here for you? What would help you right now? Is there something I can do to help you right now? Or even, I just wish I knew what to do to help you right now. Because now the person doesn't feel pitied, but they do feel loved and supported. And maybe it's as simple as saying, you know, looks like you need an ear. Maybe you and I could talk about what's going on, or we can talk about the weather, we can talk about baseball. I can talk about baseball all day. But we can talk about whatever we need to try to help you in whatever way we can. Now, this is the tricky part, because this is the difference between throwing a lifeline to the person and tying a noose and pulling the person along. I know that was a bad metaphor, but the mixed metaphor makes sense when I say this. Don't try to fix it for the other person, because the common response is, let me tell you how I would do it. Oh, you need to do this. Oh, well, you know, it's not that bad. You don't know that. You're getting a snapshot of whatever's happening in that person's life. The key to this is be present, be loving, be supportive. All right, so this boat captain is going to share this last bit of wisdom with you. As always, every good boat captain ensures that their entire crew comes in to the takeout point. Be supportive, to the end. Thanks. This is Kelly, your Killed It Therapist.